Within the first month or two, bang, casino promotion.
Because they pay so good. What happened to my job? And he was like, oh, you don't take mining seriously enough.
Your channels were built so much on your authenticity.
Yes.
People fell in love with you.
If I don't go all in now, when will I have the chance to really be in this position again? I have the biggest imposter syndrome.
What's next for Jimmy Judge? You're tuned into the Better Bloke podcast. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Rob.
We're just a couple of average blokes who started a charity with one simple mission: to fuck off suicide as the leading cause of death for Aussie men our own age.
We talk shit, ask the big questions, and chat with guests that have been through the ringer and have come out the other side with a story that's worth hearing.
Some episodes will hit you in the feels, some will fire you up, and others will just give you a laugh and remind you you're not the only one out there winging it.
We also run events, connect with the pros, and build communities, all with one goal: build better blokes without all that fluff.
All right, let's get stuck in.
There's been a lot of new things that have happened in your life since we last had you on, and that's why we wanted to get you on, because the last time we spoke to you, you were I wouldn't say umming and ahhing, actually.
Yeah.
You were on the cusp of taking what you're doing full time, and you're about to take that leap.
Yeah, actually, that's right. Wow, man, that feels like ages ago now. Hey.
Yeah, it was a super pivotal moment.
Yes, yeah.
You're still working your normal job.
Yep.
You're doing the sort of eating challenges in your off time.
Yeah, yep.
And you were going, oh shit, can we make this a thing or not?
I forgot about that. Yeah, for some reason I thought I'd spoken to you more recently, but so I sort of just doubled down on doing this full time. I think it was a chat that we had actually after the podcast as well, which was if I don't go all in now, when will I have the chance to really be in this position again? And no, it's been great. It's been really good. Absolutely. It's not what I planned, because I did think I would be in the mines for 4 or 5 years, get a bit of savings behind me and then try and take this full time. But sort of life had other plans, I guess. But no, it's been unreal. It's been really cool.
I've done a similar transition,
yeah.
And I know it's a big ass deal when you actually got a hand in that resignation. Yeah. Was there something pivotal that happened that made you make that call?
Well, actually, it's worked out it's worked out for the best. So, I don't wish anyone any ill will, but, there was four full-time positions and five of us contractors, and I'd been there the longest. So all the old guys, it's yours, bro. That's how it works. It's chronological order. You are the first. And there's another kid that had been there for 2 weeks, and, they skipped me and gave him the job. And I was sort of I don't really think, maybe this is my push out of here. And I sort of asked my boss, bro, what happened to my job? And he was like, oh, you don't take mining seriously enough. And I sort of asked some of the older guys that have been there for years and years. I was like, do you think this is because, I travel around on my week off? Nothing to do with work. I'm very confident in my work ethic. And, even though I didn't like the mines, I did try very hard. But they were just yeah, sometimes with mining culture, they don't really like people that don't plan to stay there for a long period of time. I think they knew that if this blew up, I would be I would never be rude. I'd be here's my month's resignation or whatever, but I'm out. So I think they just didn't like that. And that sort of gave me my answer. I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to resign instead. They're like, oh, what do you mean? I was like, well, you didn't want me for the job. They're like, oh, but you can still stay as a contractor. I was like, oh, thanks for the offer. But it was great. It was a truly a blessing in disguise. That made me sort of bet on myself. And, it's like you said, it's a hard transition going from that stable, we're getting this each week, each fortnight. But, the ability to wake up and sort of work towards my own thing is such a blessing.
Have you found that your work ethic's much more now that you're essentially your own boss and you're doing something that requires you to push?
I feel like not to be full of myself, but I feel like my work ethic is always there, but in terms of the enjoyment, that, when you're working for someone else and you're just look, I don't want to let the boys down. Not being horrible, I didn't care about the mines, but you're with a crew. I would most of the time work with a crew of 3. So say it would be me and you 2 guys. I don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. But so we all work hard to get it done because we're all a team.
Yeah.
But I definitely find my perceived effort, I can do crazy hours, edit all night, podcast, this, that, travel, drive, whatever. And to me, I'm wow, I can't believe I get to do this. Whereas with the mines, I felt like I'd do less and just be so mentally exhausted because it just wasn't what was making me happy.
Jumping into the full-time, essentially you're a content creator.
Yeah.
So with that dream job
comes
all the other sides of that isn't necessarily what you envision.
For sure.
You run into that and you find yourself like those days in the mines where you were like, this sucks.
Yeah.
There's elements of that in what you're doing now.
Oh man, 100%, 100%. And, it's sort of funny because you never think about, which is great. Like we don't think about the negative stuff of the things we want. We just think about like, I'm gonna get this. And then, it'll be super fun. I'll do videos for a living and blah, blah, blah. But then like I never realized like the pressure, particularly in this early stage, because I'm still very new at this. With Australia, we don't get paid for TikTok or Instagram. And I've sort of taken off on short form content. So I'm trying to make the transition to YouTube also, because that's where we get paid from YouTube. So I never realized that it would be like, you want to get paid? Like, go find money. So then I've got to reach out to businesses and be like, hey, like, or they'll still reach out, but you can't just bank on people to reach out to you. So there's definitely been days where I'm like, this is so much more stressful than I anticipated. And there's also days when, just internet beef. Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys know as well, like, no. Never heard of it? No, I actually didn't think so, to be honest. But you guys,
charity.
You guys are probably the only people but like,
it's a lovely place.
Yeah, exactly right.
Until,
you know what I mean? And there's always going to be someone that doesn't like you or blah, 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 blah. But yeah, going full time, it ruffled a lot of feathers and I was not expecting that. I sort of thought everyone would just be like, I thought they would be like, yeah, or like, we don't care. Because realistically, it doesn't really affect anyone. Like, if you don't like it, just don't look.
If anything, you think that would make more people like what you're doing because you've got the opportunity to actually put more content out for what they want?
For sure.
But
yeah,
that's surprising me that you got some backlash for that.
Well, I mean, it's this weird thing of like, I would try to represent this thing where like, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, I'm not the best eater in the world. I'm not even the top 3 in the country, but I just like making videos. If I can do something like a little bit better than average and make it a full-time job, so can you. Like, but then people look at it the other way, like, I've got to do this and I hate that. And he gets to do what he's like and I'm mad at him. And like, so it goes one or two ways, which is like, good for you, bro. If you can do it, I can do it 100%. If I can do it, you can do it. But then you get that like tall poppy thing that we'd spoke about before where people think you're kind of trying to flex on them. Like, not at all, man. Like, if you're in the mines and you love being in the mines, that's fantastic. Like, that might be someone's dream job. That's great. So, but when I talk about it, people are like, well, there's nothing wrong with the mines. It's like, yeah, no. I'm just, for me, I didn't like being underground. That was, but like, I think it's just perception of things, but the internet is a wild place.
Definitely tall poppy syndrome. And do you think there's been any backlash when people start realizing it is your job and you have to balance authenticity?
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's something every content creator comes up because how do we get paid? Yeah, it could be brand deals. It could be this. It could be that. But your channels were built so much on your authenticity. Yes. People fell in love with you. So there's a balancing act there.
Yeah. And I think that's why I'm always trying to be like, I'm always super duper honest with like, obviously like you can tell a lot of the times when it's like, this is a paid gig, but I'm not going to lie about things. Like I for every deal or every thing that I accept, there's a few that I don't. Like, it's not like, it would be different if I was like all of a sudden just doing everything. Because then it would be really hard to be like, well, how do we even know? Like, is this actually good? Because, he does all, but there's a lot of things I say no to, although, financially I would love to say yes to. Casinos, bro.
That was something that we spoke about this is there's so many content creators that have taken that leap full time.
Yeah.
And within the first like month or two, bang, casino promotion.
Because they pay so good.
You would have been hit up by, no doubt, tons of...
Man, and when they throw numbers around, it's like, how could I sell my soul to the devil and still be, like, maybe this is my villain arc and I start selling casinos and OnlyFans. But I was like, no, I'm trying to keep it authentic. But, yeah, I think, like, with that as well, I just try and go, like, look... like, for example, this is my best example at a Banjo's advertisement, like the pie thing. They're like, we've got a new pie. We've got an idea for a video. You start a challenge, and you take a bite out of the pie and then you stop the timer because it's so good. And I'm like, look, I've had like this pie and it is great. It's a brisket pie. Like you can't go wrong. But that's like, if I'm watching a challenge and you don't give me the challenge, I'm upset. Like I expect a challenge. So what we ended up doing is, I'd done a 10 pie challenge for Banjo's before, so I recreated the same challenge. My intro video was the same, And we added that little bit to the second video where it was like, you know, this is really good. And it was good. So then I ate one pie with the timer off leisurely, and then we restarted, and I pulled back a 10th pie that I had like sitting to the side. Because like otherwise, and it's the same thing. People understand, like, you know, we got to get paid.
Well, that's the thing. Some people do, some don't.
Some don't.
So you see it a lot in like the YouTube review space.
Yes.
People that are like reviewing tech stuff and they're like, use my affiliate code.
Yeah.
That's affiliate marketing. That's how these people get paid.
Of course.
People want to consume the content because they want to know about the next best camera, the next best surfboard, bike, whatever.
Yeah.
But these people put days into reviewing and testing.
Oh, for sure.
Stuff. It is a job.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the audience sometimes doesn't quite understand.
Yes.
That's why it's good to start building up a rapport with like a certain creator that you feel comfortable with.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's especially, say, in the review space.
Yeah.
There'll be guys that come out and they get sent a product and they slam it.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool.
You know,
There's a bit of authenticity there.
100%.
I kind of trust him now.
Exactly right.
He's
Yeah.
wanting to give me the stuff he likes.
Yes.
So I think you can easily maintain authenticity.
Yeah.
While
still like making a living.
Making it work.
For sure, 100%. And, you know, I've sort of give the secret away now. You know, I've told people, but I never lie. Like, particularly on camera, I never lie. Like, not in my life. Like, I try not to lie, but there's people, you know, I fib here and there, like we all do. But on camera, I don't lie. Like, if the food's not good, I don't go, the food was great. I'll go, you know, I'll just look for the positive. So if it's a beautiful restaurant with lovely staff and the food is mid, I'll go, the staff were amazing. The challenge was really hard. The vibe was incredible. The scenes were beautiful, but I won't lie. Like, I won't get there and go, yum, this random thing was really great. If I didn't think it was really great, so then it's like, but if it is good, I'll be like, man, this is great. And sometimes, you know, very rarely, but the food's great and the service isn't. So I'll be like, the food was fantastic. The challenge was tough, but, you know, like, but really enjoyable.
You skim over.
No comment. Yeah, exactly right. Like, I'm not going to be like, the food was great and the staff were like, they must have been having a bad day. And I won't be like, the staff were like beautiful, but the food wasn't. Like, you know, like I'll just highlight the positives, but, you know, then no one could ever go, well, we went there and it was really like the food was great, but the service was really mid. You said that the staff were fantastic. It's like, but then again, like you said, with the authenticity thing, you never know. Like, my experience, like, I might go there and the staff are beautiful and the food's fantastic. And then, you know, Betty, the server's had a horrible day at home and she comes in, she's in a bad mood and the food's still great, but so it's hard. Like, I think that's why it would almost be easier reviewing things that don't change. Like, with the food, like, sometimes, you know, you'll go to a restaurant, you'll have 3 meals there, 2 are bomb and one's like horrible. Whereas I guess, like, you know, if it's the camera stays the camera the whole time, you know, but.
Makes sense.
With the monetization side, going back to that, because it is such an important part of, obviously, it is your job now.
Yes, yeah.
Did you find it difficult to then be going out chasing the money with what you're doing?
Oh, I have the biggest imposter syndrome. Like, I really struggle to sort of see my worth. And this has been a thing that I've sort of struggled with for years. So to be in a position where, like, people are like, bro, like, you're underselling yourself, man. Like, for ages, I was doing everything for free. And they're like, you don't have to be doing this for free, but who would pay? And then, so I've finally, like, I reached out to a few people, you know, Jay Webby, like the best eater in the Southern Hemisphere, not just Australia, and I was sort of like, man, I'm really struggling to figure out how to monetize this, or like, I'm really struggling how to even approach these places. Like, and he was like, you know, it's called a media card. Like, you've got your prices, and he just explained the reach. Like, you don't have to go like, oh, I'm really nice, or I'm really this. You just go like, here's my followers, here's my views, and here's what we could do a video for if you're interested, with the price sort of thing. But even that still feels really inauthentic to me, because I'm the kind of person, like, I would do everything for, if I was like making buku bucks from YouTube, I would just go everywhere and not expect a single thing, but it's just not the way it is at the moment, you know.
That would be an awesome level to get.
100%. And
there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are obviously balling out with
killing it 100%.
And they don't have to rely on other people.
Exactly right.
They just get to do what they want.
Which is that's my overall goal, is to be able to monetize like the YouTube and that, so that I can go and, and then go into all of these places, and then it's all free. Like, you know, I'm doing a few gigs, you know, got one in Yamba, one in Armadale, and then another place out I can't even say it, Arutla or
Aratula?
that's the one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got you.
So those places I don't charge. Like the smaller places, I do my utmost to keep it free because they're smaller places, and I feel like that's my little good karma thing. But I just can't do it for all of them, and that's why I explained to bigger cities. I'm like, look, man, like bigger cities, bigger budgets. Like I'm happy to negotiate and work with prices because like I understand times are tough everywhere, but this is my job. So and sometimes we meet in the middle. Sometimes with bigger places, they don't have to because they've got a bigger budget. But with the smaller places, I can't wait for the day where I can do all these smaller places and it can be that full-time gig. Like
that's where I think it'd be hard for you because you're doing this on your own. Where I struggle with that immensely. I'm really bad at the money side of it.
But I think that's the toughest side, honestly, because the conversations about money make people weird. It's uncomfortable.
But you need the money to do stuff. That's what this took a lot of coaching from Maddie with everything that we're doing in the charity space.
Yeah.
Like we're doing amazing things. We've got so many other things that are coming, but you need money to be able to fund that.
Yeah, you can almost be too nice. And I found out the hard way, like you can almost shoot yourself in the foot where it's like, could I come back and do more down the track? Well, yeah. And so then you have to have that awkward conversation of like, look, I know I've come out this far to do this for free, but maybe next time we can just organize, even if you just cover costs of transport, because ultimately if I'm traveling like 6 hours to come out for free, like that's cool, but it's still costing me, a fair bit of money. And people always come to the table, but it took me ages to get the confidence to be like, hey man, like I don't want to be that guy, but also like,
I think it's difficult because it's not what you signed up for.
Yes, for sure.
We signed up to have good conversations with guys, get messages on mental health and different stuff out there, to host these events, to create all this stuff.
Yeah.
You signed up to eat a bunch of challenges.
100%.
Inspire a bunch of people.
Yeah.
None of us signed up to email so-and-so
100%.
say, here's a quote.
And talk about budgets
it's not why you start a passion-based project.
Of course.
So that's why it's so difficult.
Yeah.
But of course,
part of it.
It's part and parcel.
100%. I'm sort of I'm in the process now of reaching out to a few friends that they're like, look, man, it wouldn't hurt to maybe get a manager on board or something, and then they can spearhead this stuff for you. But again, it's the same thing we said before. It's you just finding the person that actually likes you for you. Obviously, they're going to get a cut. So it's a good day for them as well. But you don't want, there's a lot, I've been offered a lot of people have offered me to be my manager, and none of it felt authentic. It just felt like, hey, I'm going to make some money from this kid, then we'll burn him. I
think that's something that I picked up on you from the very first time that we met in person. You are so authentic, and everything you do is for the right reason.
I tried. But cheers, mate.
So many shady characters around.
Well, like you guys said, the internet is just that place, it's just full of sharks. And I think, particularly being from up North Queensland, it was so eye-opening when, people calling me out on the internet and stuff like that over nothing, just silly little things. And it'd be like, oh wow. I just feel like this little small town person basically. And I'm like, oh, why are people so mean? And they're like you guys said, this is the internet. And same thing with the money. When people think they can make money from you, all of a sudden, you're hot shit. And then if they can't, they're not interested. It's wild.
When you first took the dive into it and you quit the job, did you have a certain amount of bank or something like that where you had given yourself a runway to chase it, or were you kind of chasing your tail from the start?
No, I was sort of lucky that I had a little bit of savings there, emergency money, because people probably couldn't tell from the videos, but I got a bit of a temper at times. So I always like to, I just really can't deal with disrespect in a workplace. So I always like to have, in the past when I've worked for other people, I've always liked to have a little something there, because you never know, particularly if you feel like you're not being treated the best. And with the mines, it just wasn't vibing for me. I just didn't really feel like I was appreciated. So I kind of had that gut feeling that although I would love this to go longer and get more savings, this could, at any day, something could happen. And so I was lucky that I had a little bit there in case of emergency. And then when everything happened the way it happened, I sort of felt like if I didn't leave, I would just sort of be, almost disrespecting myself in the sense where it wasn't going to get better.
I think everyone's going to find that so hard to believe that the internet's nicest guy has a bit of a temper.
I think it's just from being raised, because I was raised by just my dad for most of my life, and he's like the nicest guy ever. And so many people are like, oh, you're just like your dad, which is the best compliment ever. But he's got that like real kind of mongrel streak, you'd say, and I feel like I've really got that from him. Whereas I'm super chill until I feel like I've been disrespected, or like we had the chat before, or if it's like someone I love or care about, like talk shit about me all day, that's cool. But when they start like, it's your family or your friends, then I get it to heart. And for me, with work, when they start having to go at your work ethic, because that's the one thing I pride myself on. Like, I don't care if we're scrubbing toilets. Like, I'll work hard to do it. So like, I think that was the thing for me. Like, it takes a while. It takes a lot for me to get a bit of a bee in my bonnet. But, when people start kind of fabricating, like, lying about you, like, oh, you don't work that hard. It's like, man, like, now I'm annoyed because you're lying.
They're just talking shit for the sake of talking.
100%. Or they're just chasing reasons. Like, why didn't we give you a job? Well, I need a reason now, so. But it's one of those things where I truly believe things happen for a reason. And, like, had the whole situation not have played out like that, I might be on my swing at the mines right now and not talking to you guys, and all these opportunities in that week I wouldn't have had. But, and I say this to everyone that listens to my channel too, like, it's so easy. Like, the struggle is so beautiful on the other side, like the whole 8 Mile Eminem rap battle. Once he makes it, you're like, yeah, you're that guy. But like, when you're like eating shit, doing, like not doing very well, like there's nothing pretty about that. And I think too many people like romanticize the making it, but forget about the actual, what it took to get there.
To loop back to the anger, we recently released a thing called the Better Bloke Blueprint on the website. So where you talk about all the different emotions guys feel.
Yeah.
One of them was anger.
Yeah.
And it speaks a lot about how it's not a negative emotion. It's just an emotion.
For sure.
Like all of them.
Yeah.
And what it means and why it's there. And the reason why we feel that is because it can be very useful to us.
Yes.
When harnessed correctly.
For sure.
It speaks a lot about it rectifying perceived injustices.
Yeah.
When you treat it unfairly.
For sure. Yeah, that's
someone
so
else.
True. Yeah.
It's that extra bit of emotion to push you to actually do something.
To act. Yeah. Yeah.
So
for sure.
And that's exactly what it did to you.
Yes.
So that's anger playing out naturally and healthy and getting you to a space.
For sure.
Where you're, in a better spot.
I didn't actually, I've not heard that before. That's so true.
Such a good explanation on anger the other day. I think it was
Not just then. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was all right. I'm keeping you humble. It is very similar line. So it was from, have you seen Your Online Brother? He's from down south. I think he's
it rings a bell. Yeah.
Like weapon of a dude.
Yeah.
And so he explained anger in the sense that, because most men feel comfortable in anger. Yeah. Because it's a powerful emotion.
Fair.
So you don't feel the same feeling of like when you feel sad.
Yeah.
You're
Less
sort of
vulnerable, I guess.
Yeah. There's no vulnerability. When you're angry, you're powerful.
For sure.
So, and that's why, when I heard it explained like that, I was like, shit.
That's actually like
so hard.
So interesting. I've had friends that choose to get angry instead of scared before fights or things like that, because they're like, I'm not that anxious when I'm angry. I'm like, that's really interesting, because you're not that anxious when you're angry. Not that you don't necessarily think clearer, but that's so interesting.
Yeah, well, it fills you up with a bunch of
100%.
neurochemistry stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I think that's sort of where like I went wrong with my fight. You saw me pacing. Like, I'm not a pacer.
Yeah.
But I was trying to like lock in, and I just try to get angry before, and it didn't.
But at the same time, like, that is such a big stage for a first fight. Like, that is I was there and I was like, oh, I'm kind of glad I'm not fighting now.
I walked out behind him and I'm like, I'm nervous.
It's wild.
Getting up there.
I was nervous for that. Every like person that I knew, I was like sitting in the crowd, like, just feeling so helpless, like so nervous. And that's in the crowd, so I can't imagine how it felt to be in it.
I got so excited seeing you and Maddie out there. Like when I ran into you outside the green room, I was like, it's like familiar faces, like familiar friendly faces, where so many people were stopping me and saying like, oh, good luck, this. And everyone was like hyping you up about it.
Sure.
And then, like, seeing you two, I was just like, this wave of like calmness came over. I was like, oh, this is good.
That's such a real thing, because like the one thing I've realized, or the one thing I've felt since we spoke last, is I've been getting pulled up way more than I ever have before, which is great. But sometimes when you're by yourself and it's 100 people, you're like, then you run into someone and you're like, yes. Like I can be my normal weird, like not that I'm ever not myself, but you can really relax into it. Like you don't have to, you know, sometimes I'll leave an exchange with, you know, like a stranger sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, like I'll overthink it. Like, oh, was I like, you know, I'll even say to people, was I nice then? They're like, yeah, you're so nice. I'm like, but you overthink it with your mates. You don't. You're just like, hey bro, what's going on? Yeah, sick. But you always want to be like perfect for, you know, you want to leave a good impression for people that are supporting you. I'm always like overthinking shit. Like, oh, like, you know, was that awkward? Did I hang around too long? Should I have said goodbye earlier?
Like the old like handshake where it's like, if you shake it, was that too hard? Was that too soft? Oh, does he think I've got a weak handshake now?
The amount of times I'll be like they'll go to do these ones and I'll put my hand here and then they'll do it too. And then I'll like, and then we end up, and I'm just like, I don't even get awkward anymore. I'm just like, it's just me.
Do you find that now because you're so big in this space that, like you just said, everyone can recognize you and that, do you find that your social battery is getting tapped more regularly?
I think that's why I moved to Byron Bay. Like, if I'm being entirely honest, like, because it's sort of like it's its own little place. It's got its own little thing. And like I cruise around Byron and no one cares. And in fact,
you're competing with Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, look, hey, to be honest, like it's stiff competition out here. And that's exactly right. Like it's quiet. Lots of people from abroad. Everyone's on holiday or doing their own thing. Like a few people would be like, yeah, see you guy, cool. But in smaller places, and bless them, because I, you know, and I never want people to not say hello. I thoroughly enjoy it. But you know, when, like, I just treat it like people like, I'm really sorry to bother you. It's like, look, man, if I don't want to be spoken to, you won't see me. Like, if I'm at the shops, I like, and sometimes it doesn't happen, but if I'm at the shops, if I'm at a movie, if I'm at a festival, if I'm in public, like, I want to be in the public space. You have my permission to approach me, get a photo. You know, if I'm at the urinal, probably let me finish. Like, but just stuff like that. But I did find I had to manage it better because there'd be times when I was like, I just need a day to myself, not thinking, and go to the shop, and then you're like, oh my God, like I'm so drained. So I just plan like one day a week where I'll just chill, like fully chill. And I find that's a thing I never really, like, it's a blessing, but I never anticipated that my social battery would get so low in public with a bunch of people I don't know, because it's such a blessing that people want to say hey, but it was so strange to navigate to start with, because I was like, and it goes back to that imposter syndrome. Why? Like, well, I'm just eating food. But then people are like, no, but we like you. We like the message, which is so cool. But it's probably taken me this whole time since I spoke to you last to be like comfortable to be like, yeah, I guess it's pretty cool. Like, not full of myself, but at least confident to go, okay, well, I'm more than happy to have a chat with 100 random people, because sort of, you know, it is something I do work like you guys. We work hard to be here. It's not just by mistake. Right.
On the first chat, we spoke a lot about your own journey with the ups and downs of mental health. How have you found, since taking this leap, that's played out? Has it been a positive thing or a negative thing, or just different to manage?
I think it's definitely been very different. I definitely thought it would have been like more positive, in the sense where it would be all
an instant fix.
I thought it would be like, I'll never be sad ever again. I'm doing the thing that I want to do. But you know, and if anything, like, it's made the down days a bit harder, because then I feel guilty. Yeah. It's like, all right, like, I got to do this thing. And then I think, like, what do you mean? Like, a year ago, you would have killed to do this, man. And then you still just wake up, like we all do, and you have those days and you're like, I just don't want to do anything. I don't want to get out of bed. I'm a bit anxious, etc. So I think it's taught me to be a bit kinder to myself, because I did have this preconceived notion that I'm going to go full time and everything will be better. I'll wake up, I'll be the happiest guy in the world, and I'll save the world with my great attitude. And then some days I'm like, man, like, there's days where I just take a few days off videos because I just don't feel like I've got anything positive to say. And then I'm like, shit, like, does that make me, like, am I wrong for feeling like this? Because I've got everything that I've wanted and I'm working towards it. But it's definitely been different to navigate. And I think it also just highlights that, like, with mental health, you're never there. Like, I think I tricked myself into thinking, like, it's that destination addiction. Once I get here, I'll be happy. Once I get this, I'll be happy. But that's not how it works. You know, I've thoroughly realized that now.
Yeah, definitely not how it works. No. Same with, like, the physical, right? You can go and get big and strong.
For sure.
take 6 months off, it's not going to be there unless you kept doing some work.
100%. Yeah.
The guilt's an interesting thing.
Yes.
Because that's something I've experienced.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
not me.
No guilt at all?
Nope.
No.
Okay, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I've been pretty blessed. Even when I was working other jobs, like I had the sickest job.
Yeah.
And like there was stages like where I'd fly around the world, right? I went to Europe and I didn't even post on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really want to go and do it. Like, I just wasn't in the mood.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'm like, what the hell? This was your only dream. I'm in Europe and I just don't even care.
Yeah.
And then there's a guilt attached to that you got to deal with.
Yeah.
So
then you feel bad for feeling bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do get guilty. It's just missed opportunities is my biggest guilt.
Yeah.
And it's like on those days where you want to sit back and you go, fuck, I am so mentally and physically tapped.
Yeah.
I just need to take a break.
Yeah.
Then you're like, if I take a break today, does all the momentum shift then? And then you're caught in this
100%.
Yeah.
Like, do you reset and recharge and take a few days, potentially come back stronger, or do you lose that momentum, which I feel sometimes too, like with editing and stuff, because I just do everything myself. It's like, if I take a few days, I'll take a few more days, because then I realize how much, like we said before, I signed up to eat food and hopefully impact the world in a positive way. I don't care about money and editing, but the job is money and editing. Like the byproduct of the eating the food, through you get money to live your life, and then you edit so people can consume it. But without the money and editing, like it's not a thing. So it's that same thing of like, I didn't sign up for this, and it's like, well, what did you sign up for? Like, you know,
you got to get after it. One of my favorite quotes is, if you think the cost of failure is high, wait until you get the bill from regret.
I think you've said that a few times on here.
Yeah,
I did preface it by saying it's one of my favorite.
Well, carry on.
So yeah, and then you feel guilty when you take a few days off, because especially as a self-employed person, you got to keep that momentum up yourself, because there's no one over your shoulder making you do it.
You start thinking like, oh no, am I leaving money on the table? Like, should I be doing this? But one thing I have done only very recently, like only like 2 weeks ago, I just do all of my stuff like Monday to Saturday, unless I've got bookings on Sunday, then I'll choose another day. I have 1 day a week where I wake up, call my dad, mum, grandma, anyone, and be like, yo, like, how are you guys? You good? Cool. I'm turning my phone off. Like, that's me. Like, you know, the phone's off. It's on me. Like, if there's an emergency, I can call someone, but it's just switched off, because from being on my phone and like editing and, you know, responding to businesses and this and that, I've tricked myself into being like, well, it's work, you know, it's work. And then I realize I'm at lunch with the boys, or, you know, on a date or doing something, and I'm on my phone all the time, and I justify like, oh, it's work. So I've tried to set like office hours for the phone. Because I often am doing stuff for work, but then I was finding I was getting so burnt out, not from people, from my screen. So I've tried to, like, if it's not Sunday, it's another day, but I try and have like one full day, if possible. Sometimes it's not, but like one full day where I like have that reset, don't feel guilty about it. And then the other 6 days, it's like, bro, I don't care if you don't feel like it today. In 2 days, you'll get a day. And I think that keeps me accountable. I'm such a big list and schedule guy. If I have a schedule, I'll stick to it. If I don't, I won't. So I'm like, even with my exercise, people are like, how do you do it? It's like, because I've got a checklist, and I'm fairly sure I'm a little bit like autistic or something, because if I don't tick those boxes, man, something's wrong. So it's never like, oh, I've got to go to the gym today. It's like, no, I physically have to I got 2 hours on the assault bike tomorrow. Like, it's going to happen. But I think that's that same thing. Like, if you don't schedule stuff, it's so easy to go like, oh, I can't do it. Don't feel like it. Like,
and it also sets the expectations of what you'll be happy with.
Yes.
So you know when enough is enough.
100%.
So if you get that list done, which I don't always get my daily list done almost ever, but when you feel like enough is being ticked off you're like, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a sec now to chill. If you don't have that, you just kind of work until 1 o'clock in the morning.
And then it just compiles. And then I feel like sometimes it's like overtraining is like when I overdo it with the editing and the voiceovers and stuff, I can just hear it in my voice. It's just like at the beginning, it's like, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. And it's like, yeah, I'm happy to be here. And by the 4th edit of the 5th video or whatever it is, it's like, oh, yeah, so this is really good. I don't know if other people can, but I can hear it in my voice. It's like, should have stopped 2 videos ago, bro. You sound flat. Like, you know.
We got to do our videos in the morning. I do anyway. because by the afternoon I'm that tapped out
for sure,
and I can definitely see it.
Yeah,
so
you just yell at me for our videos. More energy, do this, crack, just cracks the whip at me.
And it's better, isn't it?
It is. They come out really well.
Yeah, for sure.
So
sure.
Yeah, you don't have the luxury of someone cracking the whip for you though.
I feel like it's sort of, I'm just a big one. Like I draw from the energy of the people around. So like with you guys, it's easy. Like I'm super lucky with all the people around me are pretty high energy. So like if I'm sort of like, someone will pick me up, you know, because I think from being self-employed and doing my own thing, I've really like, Les Brown, the motivational speaker, is always talking about OQP, only quality people. And that's like, if I'm feeling shit, someone will pick me up because I know, and if they're feeling shit, I'll pick them up. And it's that sort of thing of, even though I do this by myself, there's so many people that are in this space that we all have, that we all share, that, you know, if I'm like, oh man, like, or like, you know, for instance, I find myself in some internet drama, I'd be more than comfortable to be like, hey guys, like, even if it wasn't for help, if it was just like, I just need someone to chat to, because otherwise I think it would be, like you said, there's no one to crack the whip, but there's also no one to really help unless you reach out, because it's, like we said earlier today, like so many people, like it's not weak to speak, and that's beautiful, but who are you talking to? Like, I think it's important. Like, it's great that I've got you guys and people in my sphere that I will get quality information back from. It won't just be like, it'll be right, bro. Because there's a lot of that as well.
You need those people that you can be honest with,
yes,
that you know you're going to get honesty back. And that's where it's all well and good, like you were saying, to say like, oh, you know, it's not weak to speak, you know, are you okay?
Yeah.
But a lot of people are just saying it now for the fact of saying it. They're not there to listen.
It's like when people go, "How you going?" and then you go, "How you going?" and then neither of you have said, "Good." But yeah, it's so true. Like
doing what you've done
yeah,
with the socials, it's obviously afforded you, I guess, the ability to meet and connect with a lot cooler people, influencers.
I know, yeah.
You know what I mean? People out there that are these positive people,
for sure,
doing good stuff.
Yeah.
How has that been, sort of connecting with some individuals that you wouldn't have crossed paths with otherwise?
It's like been amazing, but it's highlighted to me too that we are all just people. Like, you hear people talk about it and you go, easy, like it's easy for someone to say, oh, we're all just people, but then you look at these people, like I put them up on a pedestal, like, whoa, like, but then I've been lucky enough that you chat to some of these people through Instagram or like, we line up a video. I was really, really lucky, for people that are like big fans, like WWE, Buddy Matthews. So he used to be in WWE. He's in AEW. So he does a professional wrestling in America. His wife is Rhea Ripley, like one of the biggest female wrestlers in the world, I guess.
The biggest.
She is incredible. He's amazing. He's like built like a tank. And they're just the loveliest people. But, you know, like I just found myself in the middle of an eating challenge with these guys and my brain kind of like reset and I was like, holy shit. Wow. Like, how did I get here in my life? And they're just normal people. They were like, yeah, like whenever you're in America, come and hang out. But it's been such a trip out because, like, I know everyone says it, but these amazing people, they're so accomplished. They've got crazy fans, particularly like both of them, but particularly, Rhea, like amazing and so grounded. And I think, you know, I've been super blessed that all these really cool, like famous people they're definitely famous. All the famous people that I've met, in my experience, at least, they've all been super grounded, which has been nice because I was kind of worried when people like, don't meet your heroes, they'll let you down. And I haven't experienced that yet, touch wood, but like so far, so good.
Yeah. I think that's where we've been lucky with everyone we've spoken to. Like we've had some like massive names on.
Yep.
Every single person is just a normal person.
Yeah.
Like they're humble, they're polite. I think a lot of it's what you put out,
yes,
it's what you receive
though
too. Like if, just say you were to rock up and I was to see here and just be like fangirling you.
Yeah.
That's going to make you be like, bro, like, come on.
Yeah.
And then that might change my perception of you then because it's like, oh shit, he's judging me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, like we try and be authentic. That makes you be authentic. You're authentic. It makes us be authentic.
For sure.
I think it's, very much what you put out is what you get back.
For sure. And I guess too with like, you know, some of these like really big celebrities, I guess they are kind of used to people gushing over them. And like, I think for the most part, a lot of people don't like respond super comfortably to a lot of like, you're the best, you're the this, you're the that. Like, there's only so many times I think people can go, oh, thank you. And then they start going, like you said, they put the walls up, like, oh. So I think like you said, by just treating them like a person, because not that I'm anywhere near these guys' level, but like, even talking to like, Buddy and Ria, it's just the stuff that I've never had to contemplate, like not being able to go anywhere at all in the world. Like, otherwise it's online. Like, we just saw him here, and all of a sudden people are flocking. I was like, that happens to you guys? They're like, yeah. Like, if we go somewhere, someone will like tweet or text or something like, oh, I just saw, here, they're here. And next minute, like, they're getting swarmed. I'm like, okay, well, now I understand how that would be.
Yeah, at that level, it would be a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Beast speaks about that.
Oh, man.
You imagine the shit he's got to go through.
For sure.
He was telling this story, and he went down to Chile.
Yeah.
And he didn't tell anyone he was going, and someone found out he was in a hotel. There's hundreds of people camped out the front of the hotel.
What?
He had to get escorted out. They knew he was going to the airport. The airport was packed. He had to get security to take him through a back door.
Yeah.
But like what's he supposed to do?
For sure.
It's
Yeah.
just too many people.
That's like that elite, like
That's high up.
that's like crazy.
But if you got him one-on-one in a room, he'd be super normal.
for sure.
I think to have longevity in whatever it is, some fame or
Yeah.
being a popular person, you can't really be a dick, because no one is really doing it by themselves.
For sure, and we had this chat before the podcast, like this whole new movement of like cancel culture and that sort of stuff. Like, I don't think there's any space anymore for these like fake influencers that are dicks behind the scene. I think you've kind of, people find out quickly. Like, you might be really hot this month, but someone, like, the word gets out that, oh, he's nice on camera, but he's really nasty. Like, which is kind of good. Like, I think that's good in the sense where it definitely like puts a shine on the more positive people. But then it's like anything, people go the wrong way, and it's just like, then anyone they don't like, they're like, cancel them. But for the most part, I agree. I think anyone that's got any form of longevity in the public scene, like, you've got to be like at least a semi-decent human, you'd hope. Like,
Yeah. What I like about meeting some of those people that have done really well for themselves is, of course, they're normal.
Yeah.
But there's something different about them.
Yeah.
To get them.
To get there, for sure.
If you get in the room, they can teach you stuff.
Yes.
Right. So some of the biggest YouTubers or sports people or whatever, there was just something about it, and I could tell, and you take that on board. And I think that's like a massive benefit for anyone trying to level up.
Yes, for sure.
It's just learn and listen.
100%. I think that's the one thing I've also tried to take away from meeting these people that are like more successful than myself, and people that I would like to learn from, is just watching how they move and what they say yes to, what they say no to. It's sort of like either like confirming or, not the things I preconceive, like, oh, this is what, like we said before, like, all right, like looking at the people that I want to be like, do they have like, for instance, like casino deals sort of thing. And some do, but we have a different form of content. But the people that are more in alignment with what I'm doing, they don't. So kind of watching these people that are more successful, like, all right, if I'm taking a page out of their book, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Or what's one thing that they do that I could learn? And then like some of these people, like, so creative, man. Like, I was lucky enough to do a video in Melbourne with, his name's Benjamin, but he's a rapper and a cook. Ivan Ooze, or Young Cook God is. Yeah, but he's so cool.
Weapon.
He's so nice. Like, he's like, if you're ever in Melbourne, let's do a video. And I was like, bet. And then I was like, I'm in Melbourne. He's like, cool, let's do a video. I'm like, well, that was easy. Like, everyone says let's do stuff, but a lot of them are like, oh, I'm really busy. And he invited me in his house. He's like, here's my crib. It's like in St Kilda, beautiful, like, beautiful spot. And we just sat down, and he's like, so how you been? And I was like, wow, like this guy. And that was like sort of highlighting to me. I was like, wow, this is someone that I really look up to. He's very talented in different things too, not just one thing. He's not just a weapon chef. He's a weapon rapper too.
He's touring with Bliss and Essa.
He's so good. Yeah, I'm actually going to watch him in Sunshine Coast in August, bro. I love, like, and such a nice dude. What you see is what you get. But it's just that same thing of, it was like, all right, well, if you can be here, and, not only is he like the most hospitable person, like, no, before we were filming, before or anything, he's like, how you been? We just had a chat. And then afterwards, we did this video together, and he was like, all right, so I want you to do this and stand here. And then like, he's like a full blown director behind the scenes. And I was like, he was making me think like, whoa, like there's so much more to this than people would eat. Like even when he does his cooking stuff, like he'll do like three different shots for like an angle of him chopping onions, and he'll splice it all in together. And I was like, wow, like how ignorant of me to be in this space and not even perceive how much effort he puts into everything. And that was that really cool moment. I was like, all right, there's always more to learn, you know. And also too, he never acted like, oh, like I'm up here. Like he was like, there's always more to learn. And I think if you can find those right teachers that, like, I didn't even realize I was learning, and I left there with all this knowledge because he was just doing him. Like it was so, you know, shout out to him. He's a great dude, man. Yeah.
I think, and that's sort of something we spoke about like previously just downstairs as well, where if you find those right people, they're not going to tear you down. Like we were saying, there's enough food on the table for everyone to eat. Everyone can help everyone.
100%. And it's exactly right. It's this abundance thing of like, I feel like like for instance, talking about content creators, I feel like the ones that don't go as far as they could are the ones that shy away from collabs or, you know, they kind of poo-poo other people's content because they have this like real scarcity mindset of like, oh, if you watch the other eaters, you won't watch me. So stuff them. Like, but it's that same thing of like you said, man, there's so many billion people. There's so many restaurants. There's so many food. Like, you know, if tomorrow you were like, hey man, I want to do eating challenges, like, hell yeah. Like it's so possible that we can all make it. And I think, you know, like, Tommy actually like said this quote is probably my favorite, like a rising tide lifts all ships, which is, you know, I'd never really heard that before, but he's a prime example. You guys are a great example of that same thing of like, you're right. Why can't we all lift each other up? No one's going to go like, oh, well, I listen to the alpha bloke, so I don't listen to the beta bloke. Like, no, not at all. Like similar audiences, and everyone listens to everyone. Like there's so many hours in a day. There's so many weeks in a year, but you know, you're right. Like what you were saying before, there is so much out there. It's just people's perception that think it's a competition. Like I think, you know, like the more we compete over stuff that we don't need to is just such a waste of like good vibes.
I think seeing other people as competition is a great thing.
Yes.
But you don't need to compete with them. Like,
no way.
Like just say Tommy, with Alpha Blokes. I would see them as the benchmark in the bloke space.
And that's fantastic.
Like, I'm not going to try and go, yep, they're my competition. I want nothing. Tommy is one of the best blokes I've ever met in my life. And I know I can send him a message if something's up, and he will literally give me any day of the week. Yeah. He'll be like, hey, what do you need? I'll give you a hand. Yeah. Because that's the type of bloke he is.
100%. And
you like see people as a benchmark and see them as competition. Don't be competitive with them.
Yeah, like I think it's like exactly right. As inspiration, not like this devilish competition. Like, man, if they can do it, like, oh, we can be better. I look at Webby and that, I'm like, whoa, like, you know, will I ever be as good as him? Doubt it. But he just shows you it's possible. Like, you can do this. Like, that's incredible. No other Australian was doing this the way he's doing this. Even if you take away his incredible feats of eating, just the full-time food eating content. He was the first one to ever do it. You know, people send me his videos. They're like, oh, you're going to beat this guy. It's like, probably not. But also, how cool. Like this, no one, when he was coming up, he didn't have a blueprint. I've got a blueprint. I've got a guy like I can go, all right, like this is my inspiration. You know, this is a guy that I can learn a lot from, opposed to being like, oh, like he's, you know, like got to be better than him. And then having this weird relationship where we like don't get along or something strange like that.
That's way better. I've seen it in the comedy space, the guys that do all the skits.
Yeah.
You start seeing them posting skits and it's like, I don't know, Reese Brothers and then someone else, and they're all in the same skit. It's collab posted by
I love it,
different people.
It's so good.
It's kind of fun to watch them all together.
I like seeing them all together because they're all funny dudes and it's the same thing. And it just shows, like, I think particularly in that space, like they really understand the fact, like, you know, the more the merrier. Like if we've all got similar audiences and you all do a collab times 6, then you get a bit of their audience, they get a bit of your audience. Like it's you know, I think everyone benefits really, you know.
What's next for Jimmy Judge?
That's a really good question actually. I'm not really sure. Like I had this big plan of like, yeah, I'm going to get this van that I live in. I'm going to travel around Australia. And I got up to Townsville. Luckily, it was in Townsville and nowhere else. Cause I'm from Townsville, and the engine like fully blew up, like just really just exploded. But, So we've got a new engine in the van, but I've sort of like positioned myself down in Byron now. So I really just want to spend this next few months like still doing the food challenges, making some more long form content. But, my passion is and always will be food, but the other passion is fitness, so I think I'd really like to get back now that I've got a home base, and now that the plans have changed. I guess I'll be a little bit more stable because I'll have a position. I'd really love to get back into like, a little bit more like fitness type content as well, but not necessarily like the typical fitness stuff, just kind of explaining how I do what I do. Cause a lot of people like, how aren't you like crazy fat, but just stuff like that. So sort of just real basic, because they don't teach us this stuff in school, and I would really like to make some little like short reels of like, here's how you count a calorie, here's what a thing would be like, here's the average male kind of stuff. So not even for like the monetization at all, but just for like passion projects. So I think the food will just hopefully get bigger and better, and then sort of add in a little bit of like a bit more personality of behind the scenes, I guess. Like just keep it. But honestly, if things keep going the way they're going, man, I'm loving life. So things are good. Things are really good.
Yeah. You're on for the ride now. So
yeah, I mean, like we've burnt the boats. Like, so we're all in, which is great. But I think it's just that same thing of I've got to constantly remind myself, like 12 months ago, I really wouldn't have believed this is possible. So in another 12 months, I'm sure I'll look back at this point and go, wow, I can't believe. So, I want to do as much of Australia as I can. And then next year I'm aiming to like take it overseas.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. But there's just so many great places in Australia, like we said before, like Armadale and Yamba and all these small places.
What's the other one called?
That's a great question. I'd like to phone a friend.
Aratula.
Thank you very much. But you got me there. But yeah, so I think like, what's next is a little bit more fitness content, keep the food stuff. I'd love to just hit up as many small places as I can. And then within 12 months, I see myself overseas, like I've got this dream. I mean, it's going to take me a while, but I'm trying to learn Spanish. I've got this dream of going over to like Mexico and those kind of Spanish speaking countries. I've actually been in talks. Well, I've been in Google Translates, with some Spanish speaking collaborators. I would really love to go over there and do some really fun stuff with people that I would have not had the chance to before. Because they're all like, I'm getting tagged in all these food videos and I can't understand what they're saying. And I was like, whoa, like this is a whole thing I've not even thought about. So I thought, wow, this would be so like overseas for sure, like America and all the places that you'd expect. But yeah, I'd really love to do some kind of like bilingual collabs and like one, to meet the people, but two, like you don't get really more authentic in terms of the food quality. Like you want Mexican food, like I'm sure Mexico's it, right?
How'd you do with your spices?
Look, I'm a sook, but I survived in India for I went and lived in India for like, 2.5, 3 months. And by the end of it, I got a lot better. Like I'm still a sook, but I think it's just like you adjust. So I'll probably die a bit, but it'll make for good content, I hope.
It'd be sweet. Well, the reason we wanted to get you on was to go over that transformation.
No, thank you so much.
We're always telling guys, look, at some stage, if you really feel like you want to take that plunge, do it.
100%.
So here's a man that has done it. We hope you enjoy that story, and we're going to get you back on, I reckon.
Yeah.
Before you take off overseas.
For sure. No, thank you so much.
Just follow along with the journey.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. This is fun. Like it'll be, hopefully one day I can show the kids and be like, this is, because it's such like a nice little like the fact that everything is changed this much in a relatively short period of time. Like it wouldn't have even been like maybe like 8 months ago or
8 or 9.
8 or 9. So not even quite a year, but yes, it's wild. It's wild. And if anyone watching or listening, I guess the one thing I would say is like, it can be you. Like it's, it's so corny when you hear people like, why not me? Like I can do it. Like, but it's true. Like honestly, that if you had told me a year ago, I'd be sitting here talking to you about how I left the mines like 9 months ago or anything, like I probably wouldn't actually believe it. But it's that same thing of like, you really can do it. Like it sounds so wild, but like it's one of those things where you always think it's other people. I used to always think it would be other people, but not me. So to be in a position now where I'm doing the things I want to do, it's really like sort of made me want to like scream from the hills, like just do it. Like, you know, if it doesn't work, you're in the same spot more or less, I guess.
Just inspiring people.
Hey, look, you know what I mean? Hey, look, I'm just hopefully making people hungry out there and not too disgusted.
Well, before we go, if any businesses want you to actually, you know, do some work with,
yeah, for sure.
How do they reach out to you?
So it's just on any of the platforms. So like, you know, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Jimmy Judge. I check, like, even the requests. I check everything daily for that sort of stuff. But yeah, also as well, we've got some stuff lined up. Like, I don't know the details just yet. But I've got some stuff coming up in terms of like different like community kind of charity stuff. Like, it'll be like around food challenges, of course. But we're getting some businesses on deck to, like, you know, they might provide the food. You just pay a small entry fee, but the entry fee goes entirely to like a charity, you know. So yeah, it's just, I guess, stay tuned and we'll just keep spreading the love.
Love that, brother.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
As always, be better.
Thanks for tuning in. If you got anything out of this, be sure to show some love on whatever it is that you're listening on and follow us across all our socials.
If you want to know more, head to betterblokeproject.org, where you can learn about the programs we deliver, find out about upcoming events, and donate to the cause of building better blokes.